Alright, welcome back guys. It's Sean Victor again. Welcome to your second Autodesk Eagle tutorial. And in this tutorial we'll be just covering how to get Autodesk Eagle started on your computer, the installation process, and we're going to actually start to import some of the libraries over. So to actually get Eagle installed on your computer, we first need to go to this link. So I'll go ahead and post this link to my website, and here outlines pretty much. There's a huge tutorial in here on how to get started with Eagle if you want to follow in here. But also this video series will cover the same thing. So all you're gonna do for the first step is just go to this website here, and I'm gonna post that in the link as well. Uh, but for the sake of this tutorial and to support all the content that was already made in this website, I recommend that you download this version. So Autodesk Eagle 9.0.1, and that's going to make it very easy for us to follow. Okay, and if you do, you already have Eagle downloaded and it's one of the the newer versions, it shouldn't vary too much. The overall interface of Eagle should remain the same. The only thing that should really change are maybe some names or some of the tools located on the side. But I recommend that you go with 9.0.1. But if you don't, it shouldn't make that big of a deal. All right. So go ahead and hit the open files for that, and then go ahead and, depending on what type of operating system you have, go ahead and download this and go through the actual installation process for it. But once you go ahead and do that, then you'll have Eagle pull up for the first time. Okay, I already have it downloaded, so I'm just going to go ahead and open it. Okay, while that's opening, I'm going to go ahead and show y'all another download we need to be doing in the background. And this is for actually getting our library set up. If you scroll down, you'll eventually get to this little download link right here. It says Eagle Lib 1-12-19. Go ahead and click this, and it will start a download for a zip file. Okay, in this zip file, it contains a huge amount of libraries that I've sort of accumulated over my time of using Eagle. Now, the thing about Eagle is, natively it does not have a lot of the libraries that we may want to use. For hobbyists, we have like Arduinos and all sorts of these like DIY level devices that aren't natively in Eagle. And what we need to be able to do is actually add in some libraries that maybe some other users have designed, and actually bring them into Eagle so that we can add them whenever we'd like. And that is the purpose of downloading this zip file. Okay, so if you went ahead and you downloaded the proper version of your Eagle version. In my case, I actually am on one of my other computers, so I actually have a different version of Eagle. But like I said, it won't make that big of a difference. So the version that I'll be using will be 8.7.1, and inside of this, I'm just going to go ahead and open this zip folder that I have. Open that, and I'll be greeted with this LBR file. Okay, this is the libraries folder. Okay, and then I'm just going to find the same site on here. So normally when you install Eagle, you'll get Eagle to download into your C drive, and depending on the version you have, you're going to select the proper one, and you'll have an LBR file in here. Now what I recommend you do is just go ahead and delete this file. Okay, if you don't want to delete the file, but you can go ahead and just open it, and then also open up the LBR file on this side, and then just do a Control A to select everything in here, and just bring it over onto this side. Okay, and this might actually take a while, depending on the libraries that you do have, or maybe you don't have. And if there are some conflicts, it will directly tell us. Um, but this is just transitioning. Any sort of libraries that we were missing or Eagle didn't already have will be brought over this way. And now it's sort of telling me that everything else is pretty much the same. So I'm just gonna say we're gonna skip these files. Okay, and bam, everything's been moved over. Alright, so we've updated the files, but Eagle does not know that. So what we need to do in Eagle, so you may have an interface that will pop up just like this, where you have what's known as the control panel. Whenever you first open up Eagle, this is the view you will see. Okay, in your projects tab, you probably will have a folder that says Eagle in it, but you probably will not have all of these different files in here. These are just some working folders that I'm using. So let's just go ahead and let's go ahead and create a new folder, and we'll just say first project. And within first project, I'm just going to go ahead and create a Eagle project file. So just by hitting new project, it's going to ask me to give it a name. I'm just going to say first design practice. I'm just going to hit enter. Okay, and now I have this empty project. Now we talked about in the last tutorial that a project is broken down into two portions. One portion is, or the first portion that we'll work on is known as the schematic, okay? And that's where we just, lay out the symbols and how they're connected to each other. And then we have the board layout. So if I right click on this and I hit new, you'll see that there's a bunch of different options here. And we'll get onto this stuff kind of later on. But we'll just go ahead and first focus on the schematic. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit new and then schematic. Alright, so you may be greeted with a screen that looks like this. Yours may not be black, but if you are more comfortable in working with a more dark mode, in order to change that, you simply have to go to options and then user interface. And you can specify the color of the background that you want. So there's a schematic setting, and then there's your layout setting. By default, the layout setting is going to be black. Okay, but your schematic, I believe, is going to start out white. If you want to change it, you can select black here. Another thing is, if you have a problem where these icons over on the side are too small, and you're not really happy with the size of them, you can just go ahead and increase the size of the icon size, and that should fix the overall sizing. So in my case, I'm just going to go ahead and hit like about 24. Okay, that's going to tell me that I need to exit and restart Eagle for this update to take place. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit save on what I have so far. It's going to ask me to save the schematic. I'm just going to give it a quick name first and hit enter. And then I'm going to exit out of Eagle completely. I'm going to open up Eagle again. Okay, and we're going to reopen that same file again. And now you'll see that it's kind of gotten a little bit bigger, and you can keep going ahead and increasing it more and more until you get to the size that you want. But I'm kind of happy with what we have here. So let's get right into it. So we talked about how we just added all those libraries in to the LBR folder, but now we need to physically tell Eagle to use those libraries. Okay, so the way we're going to do that is we're just going to go to the library tool up here, and I'm just going to hit open library manager. And this may take a little bit of time because Eagle has a lot of libraries. But we're going to go ahead, and you'll see that there's two tabs. One is the in use tab and the available tab. The in use tab specifies which libraries Eagle is currently using. And then the available tab specifies what libraries are out there, but Eagle is currently not using. To get an updated list, this may not be the updated list of what is actually available. And to actually get a better idea of what you do have, you can hit the browse button, and we're just going to hover over, for our default location's already set here. So now we can just go ahead and do a Control A and open up that same area. And in our case, it tells us at the bottom here that 0 libraries are added, and then it just found more duplicates of what it had before. So if I go ahead and click on one of these and then I hit Control A to select everything, you'll see now it says use 541. I'm just going to click that. And this is probably going to be the most intensive task we do during this tutorial, because your computer may um, crash the application, or it may say unresponding, not responding, and just give it some time, and it's just going to go through each one of the libraries and individually add them until completed. And you could see, like, as it's going through, these are relays, there's some sensors, switches, you name it, it's all in here. And these are, adding to your little toolbox for different components that you have access to using for creating PCBs. Okay, so I'm just going to let it finish up right now. One by one. Almost done. Okay, so once this is done, we're just going to go ahead and start to give you a good tour of Eagle. Okay, so everything seems to be brought over to the in-use tab. But let's start to get a good tour of what Eagle has, and trying to understand the interface a little bit better. So in the upper left corner, you have your basic file edit, and we'll get into some more of these options here. But you have your open, if you need to open up a new file, or you have an existing Eagle project you want to open, you can just use this. Hit the save button, print. So this is actually if you want to print out the schematic, which is really probably the most important part of the schematic, is the ability to print it out and show it to other people. Okay, this next button right here is going to be really helpful whenever we are done designing the schematic and we need to start actually working on the actual physical board layout. This will generate that for us. Okay, and we'll get into all the scripts and stuff, but if you're not using a mouse, these are very important to understand how to use. These are the zoom in, zoom out buttons. But in order to actually start using them, we probably need to actually place some stuff so you can actually see some movement. To add stuff in, you can go ahead and hover over this. It looks like a little bit of an op amp with a plus on it. If I click that, and this may take a little bit of time to bring up the menu, because you've added in so many libraries and it's got to go ahead and load them back in. But it's eventually going to bring you up a bunch of different options here. Generally, and you should get into the habit of starting each of your designs this way, is to first search up what's known as a frame. Okay, and you'll see under, if you were able to bring all the libraries in, you should see under D frames is an option for a US standard 8.5 by 11 sheet paper, and we can go ahead and click that, and you'll see that now this thing is like popping up in my cursor, and I can drag it around, and what I want to do is place this right in this bottom. You can see this crosshair, and this is the origin location of our schematic. I'm just going to go ahead and click once right there, and you'll see that it's still in my hand. The reason it's still in my hand is if I want to do, let's say this isn't in our case, this is a frame, but let's say I had a resistor in my hand. I need to add a bunch of resistors all at once. This lets me add a bunch in at the same time. You can see I've added in so many right there. I'm just going to hit the escape button. And when I hit escape, it immediately is going to bring me back to the add. So this can allow me to select the new component, add it again. Just quickly start adding components in again and again and again. Okay, but I'm just going to exit out of here and do a Control Z to remove that. And then we're going to go back to our add button. And I'm just going to do a basic search for a resistor. And you're going to find that one of the most used libraries is going to be the Adafruit library. And whenever you search for resistors, I highly recommend you look at the R-US. Okay, this is the US standard for the resistors. And you'll see that there's a bunch of different options in here for the resistor. And you see that, you know, all that is actually varying. Because if I go through this, you'll see that the symbol actually stays the same. But on this side, this is actually showing what the physical board layout will look like for the component. So you'll notice that if I move through here, this is just a direct jumper short using like a wire. You know, this is a smaller resistor with some small leads on it. And as I increase it, you can see that it's just constantly changing. And, you know, it's kind of hard to say which one I would need, but, you know, I think the standard size is going to be your 12.5 millimeters. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and select this, and this is for about your 8th watt resistors, which you probably use in your breadboards, and this is probably going to be a good size for that. So I'm just going to go ahead and place a couple of these down. Alright, and so let's just to get a familiarity with the way that schematics and moving stuff works in Eagle is in order to move stuff around, we first need to use the move tool. Okay, so if I hover over the move tool and select it, you can see that now when I go ahead and click on the resistor, it's not letting me actually move it. The only way I can interact with components is by first clicking on their crosshairs. Every single component will have a crosshair associated with it, and if you're not clicking on it, you will not be able to move or interact with the object. And that goes for every single tool here. Okay, so keep that in mind. It can be sometimes kind of difficult to figure out where the crosshair is. Like, for example, if I wanted to move this part, it's kind of difficult to see that the crosshair is there. But that's the one thing you have to look for each of the symbols is, you know, where is that crosshair going to be? And that's where you can actually go ahead and interact with it. Okay, so that's the process of, you know, moving it around. So I'm actually using a mouse in my case, so if I use the scroll wheel, I'm able to zoom in. You know, if I click the scroll wheel button, I can pan side to side. It makes it really easy if you have a mouse, but if you don't have a mouse, you still do have some pretty good options, and that's by using these zoom buttons here. If I hit zoom to fit, it will fit the whole contents of the schematic within my screen. And then, you know, classic zoom in and zoom out buttons. I wouldn't worry too much about the redraw, but the zoom select function is a very helpful tool in which I can just click on it, and then I just need to select the area that I'm interested in zooming into, and it automatically brings that into my view. Alright, so that's kind of just a good introduction to getting Eagle set up. You know, you now have it installed, you have the libraries brought in, and you got a bit of an introduction to, you know, moving stuff around and interacting with it. And in the next video, we're gonna go in a little bit in more depth into the schematic and how we can actually start connecting things together. So I'll go ahead and see you then, and thanks for watching.